This is the GroWTF podcast, a growth podcast of HOG Klaus-M. Hi, my name is Klaus-M and I'm head of growth of UserSnap, a user feedback platform that helps companies collect actionable customer and user feedback to build better, more successful products and services. We provide solutions for feedback around the product development lifecycle, from feature requests to NPS and from visual bug tracking to user acceptance testing. I'm a serial entrepreneur and I launched my first website in 1994. In the last 20 plus years, I co-founded 3 companies within the MarTech industry. 2 of them got acquired, and in the third one, UserSnap, I'm currently working off as of today. And in this podcast, I want to talk about successes, but more about failures and learnings as a co-founder and head of growth.
Hey, hi. So to the second episode of the GroWTF podcast. It's great to have you here. And today I want to talk about the topic of how to build a great team. It's the second one. I'm energized. It's great to talk about these topics. And one of the next ones, I will get someone onto the podcast so you don't hear only myself. Okay, so how to build a great team. This is something which was and is one of the most important things for me building companies, because companies are constructs where the team and people are the foundation of that. And so for me, I think this is one and the most important task, to have a great team before you have a great idea. And the great idea can only be implemented when you have a great team. And this is also why I call it the secret growth hack, number 1. And always like one quote that followed me was like, better to have an A team and a B product than vice versa. Because with an A team, you can develop the B product to an A product. But if you have it the other way around, it's pretty hard to do that. But of course, when we start, like when I joined the company, and it happened to me quite often in many companies, it's first you have to find out, okay, who is in the team. Every team is different. So you cannot like just take your measurements you learned and over the time and you had in your experience. But you have to figure out, do you have the right team for this endeavor, for this company, and are they in the right setup? So one thing I want to mention beforehand is that I think that everybody, or almost everybody, can do a great job in a certain environment. Yeah, it's just that some people are not in the right environment, or they are not in the right company. Yeah. So whenever I'm talking about someone, taking someone out of a team or replacing someone, then it's not about this person himself or herself. It's more about that this person was not probably hired well. Yeah, so it comes back to yourself, and if you're responsible for hiring. And so the first thing when I also joined this company was like finding out, do we have the right team, and do we have enough seniors? So this is a common problem, and I did that on my own. Like this is not my first company. So in my previous companies, we tried always to hire juniors and to develop them, which is not a bad idea. But especially in the beginning, when you have a smaller team, you have to make everyone count. And so seniority is a very important topic to have in your company. So you have to figure out, do you have enough seniors? Otherwise, you become the bottleneck, because you have the knowledge and you have the experience, and you have to train and mentor everybody. And they can only be as good as your own resources are. But if you really want to scale a company, you have to bring a lot of people on board who might or who should tell you where, how to do something and where maybe to head to find the right place. The other thing is, like, are teams collaborating? Also a common problem, and I tapped this trap quite often, this booby trap, to maybe focus too much on one team and not seeing the company from above and how people are cross-functional collaborating. And last but not least, which should be one of the first ones to mention, problems that you should look at, is most of the time when I looked into companies, and it also happened for us in the beginning when we started in UserSnap, was, are the goals clear? Are there goals? Do we have a clear goal setting process? Because people can only work toward the goal when it's clear, and if you don't know the goal, and I think this is happening everywhere, if you don't know for which sport you are training, so then you don't know what you have to train and how you have to train. So probably it's not that good to train basketball if you want to become a triathlete. And that's the same here. So goal setting it has a lot to do with building and growing your teams. So we had a lot of these issues in the beginning and when we joined the company. And so our first objective we set on that end was raise the seniority level in the team and provide a clear direction. And of course, also for us, not everything worked out in the beginning, and we did a lot of, let's call it failures or caused a lot of failures. So the goal setting, I think we just started that after a lot of many months passed before we started that. And in the beginning, the hiring was really hard. So sometimes we chose also intermediates and almost kind of junior people, I had to correct quite some of my mistakes in the beginning, and this is happening. The important thing is to rethink where you are, where you want to be, and then do it again. Not the failure, but try to come back to the initial concept. When you say you want to raise seniority, then you should hire seniority, then you have to do the steps and set and activate or define the processes that are necessary to get seniors. There is a lot you have to do nowadays, especially in SaaS startups and developer. When you want to hire developers, it's super hard. We all know that, but you can do a lot of steps. Building the right brand, setting or defining a certain environment, building a certain culture to make your company attractive and get the right people on board. So I want to talk about some of the steps we did to improve the environment, to improve the culture, to improve the setup and the place for the team, and to establish a certain foundation where you can build on. And I think one of the most important ones are setting or defining values and setting goals. So this is the constitution kind of the company culture. So we started in the beginning. We had a strategy meeting or a strategy workshop, and we spent quite some time on the preparation, on the afterwork. And one of the first bigger blocks was setting the values. And we came up with quite some good 5 values. And these values, what I and I experience this quite often, they are setting these strategy meetings, and after that they are they painted on some walls or they're in some intranets, but they're not really, they're not, companies often don't live them. And we spent a lot of time afterwards to give the team the possibility, or to build them into the daily routines, to repeat them quite often, to have meetings where everyone who hold a talk there, they had to say for which value is this important, or We have a kudos system, where peers, like teammates, can give kudos in an unlimited amount to their peers, to their other teammates, and they just have to say, how did this teammate live up to our values. This, I think, helped us to establish the values. And when you really deeply look into your own personality, I think that you will find out that values are the things that drive you and that direct you and lead you every day. So this is why I think that values also for companies are super important. They should be actionable and they should be implemented into the daily routines. Apart from that, the leadership and in collaboration with the team should set the goals. And we started quite late with that. And of course, we took I think currently most famous one, the OKR, the Objective Key Results goal setting mechanism. And I think I will do another podcast episode about that, because we are currently 15 months into that. We already had 4 iterations in changes, in turning it around. It aligned us kind of, but currently I wouldn't say that we are super strong into that. Yeah, so we still have a lot of issues where we moved around too much. Like we set objectives every quarter. We couldn't align them to annual goals, and we're trying now a new iteration where I'm very confident that this will lead us hopefully in the right direction. So values and goals are the foundation of crafting or building a great team. Another one is communication, and for that we implemented 2 important meetings. So the one is a monthly M-Team update. So M-Team is for us the management team, we call it like that. I once mentioned that management is not my favorite term, as I want to have a team which is in self-control. They're don't have to be managed. They just maybe have to be mentored. But okay, this term is here. We call it M-Team updates. It's kind of a company breakfast, and we're only talking about the future. So we are talking what's coming up next and where are we heading. So this is kind of an information from the leadership team to the rest of the team. The second one, and this is like a very important one, it's called the lightning talks, and bi-weekly we're sharing, or the whole team is sharing what's currently going on. So every team everyone can like just sign up for, we only have 5 of them. There are only 5 slots, and there are 5, like I have a 5-minute time limit, and you can share what you're working on. And doing that, in the beginning, it like quite slowly started. Like in the beginning, we had to set up quite a lot of them. And later on, like everyone, like today we have the problem that too many people want to share what is going on, and this gives us super cross team look into what other teams are doing, and you can add questions or maybe give some information, some additional information from your side. So communication, our M-Team updates, the weekly updates, is helping to direct where is something going, like what's coming next. So this gives a clear information, clear perspective, clear direction from the management to your team. And the lightning talks is where you are sharing where everyone can share their current work. So it's, you should not share your current work as the management team. You should lead in the future. Probably one of the most important ones, especially in the beginning when you have to build up the team, is hiring. And I think this stays as a constant important task. So hiring is kind of, the fuel for your growth engine, for your team growth engine. And in the beginning, when I think I always had a very well-crafted survey questionnaire for the interviews and hirings, and I early on started to have more than one hiring interviews to always get a second perspective on the person. But I think in UserSnap in the last 2 years, I quite changed with the knowledge also of my partner and the approach how to hire. So first of all, we try to get an inspiring message also out there. You know, you're kind of, you have to convince also the candidates and not only vice versa, you know. So you have to convince that your company is great and that someone wants to join and that there might be a challenging in a positive way environment, because people want to develop, yeah. So they don't want to go in a boring company, and they want to find challenges there and how they can develop themselves. And we also make use of hiring agents. So I mean, apart from LinkedIn, which is a great hiring source, we are constantly using all kinds of platforms, agents. All the money was spent, although they are quite expensive, at least in the beginning, it looks like, but they are, this really pays off. They do a lot of like pre-qualification, and there is a lot of time you can save from your own time when you hire someone. They have like all the ads out there for your job, for the job roles you're looking for. And my, let's say, mini playbook I'm using for my hiring, and probably, as I said, this might also be another episode, worth an episode. I first have a 30 minutes phone call when I did the pre-qualification on the CV and their profiles and whatever I find on Google. And within the 30 minutes, I try to figure out, you know, is this person in general like the right person, and does it match what I'm looking for? Also, did she or he like had a look at the company, which gives me also the clear direction that this person cares about UserSnap. And after the 30 minutes, we follow up with a 1.5 hours in-person meeting with a peer. So a second person is joining the interview, so that not only your opinion counts. And in that meeting, we're going quite deep. Of course, this meeting also took place on Zoom sometimes when it's not possible, because we are hiring internationally. So we have a lot of people from all countries around the world, which makes UserSnap even a more great and fun place to work at, and also culturally very interesting place. And finally, we have the meeting with our management team. And if we're after these 3 meetings, which is quite a lot of work, so I think I went through 100 interviews in the last 18 months. Yeah, but if I'm still convinced, then I hire, especially from the seniority level, and we always start with a 90 days plan. So we have an onboarding plan, and that's super helpful because the person starts here, they're a new environment, and then this gives them a clear, like a reel where they can hold on and also know in terms of what you are expecting. So the expectation management is clear, what should be done, what should be achieved in the first 90 days. There is a lot still to improve. So we're here more in the beginning than at the end. Like our employer branding is quite weak currently. Probably should hire someone who is like kind of a talent sourcing role, because hiring should be a constant activity. And right now I see how I'm not spending enough time on that. But you always have to like improve. You can't always get everything right. So hiring, as I said, is the fuel. Make it count. Spend a lot of time. Last year, I spent like more than 5 months or 6 months, almost like 50 to 60% of my time only on hiring. And now I have a great team together. And this was possible because I focused so much on hiring. Next one is collaboration. We're still here and try to to raise the seniority and to provide a clear direction to build the best teams we can possibly have. But to make that happen, you also have to not only set the goals, but get the processes right and the tools. And in the beginning, it might come more from your side, but later on, when you hire seniors, they are coming with their own processes, and that's great. You can learn a lot. So when we started, we defined every project had to be in Confluence, and we worked collaboratively on that. So this was an important part. And because we formed teams there, people had to come up with a campaign, with a project. And when they defined the goal for the project, then they had immediately to set up a team and discuss it. And quite often the goals changed after some smart people came together in a room and discussed a goal where I had it in the past where often started with a goal on my own, and then I thought, okay, it's already well crafted, and then you start, and later on you realize that you totally missed not the goal itself, but if the goal is not pointing in the right direction, the campaign, is always can easily be misaligned with what you initially thought you will achieve, and then later where you're heading with your campaign, and then the results are not in the way and not in the where you want them to have. So this process around how to set up goals for projects, and then what possible options do you have to reach this goal. This is done in a team, and this process kind of helps us to build cross-functional teams. And this was not the way how it was in the beginning, because when I arrived, or when I started here, the development team or the product team built the product, but only after it was finished, it was handed over to the marketing team or to the growth team, and there was no collaboration on the beginning, or when you set the goals. What do you want to achieve? And I think this process aligned our team, and it really improved for where we are heading. And we see now how the people work together, and how this makes the boundaries, or the bonds stronger, not the boundaries, the bonds stronger, and how it also brings us a step ahead to our goals. So collaboration, setting the collaboration processes right, starts with how you set up projects, how you what tools you provide. We are using Confluence, Zoom, and Slack. These are the three main tools for collaboration, and getting the goal right and having that discussed in a team and bringing all the smart minds you need for that into a room is, I think, was the most important one was one of the important ones to get a great team, and to build a great team. As we are a feedback company, feedback is quite an important part of the process to build and the best teams. And we have two meetings that help us to get feedback and to become better persons, to learn, to grow personally. So the one is we're holding bi-weekly one-on-ones with all our teammates. And sometimes also outside my own team. I'm setting up one-on-ones, and important thing, and I'm adding in the description of this podcast, I'm adding a template of our current one-on-one playbook. Important for us is that we are not talking about operational things, so not about projects, etc. So we're establishing and making our relationship stronger. We're asking for feedback, learning, also what we as leaders and managers, how we are perceived in situations, and how can we improve to become even better leaders. And of course, are the goals clear? How the person feels right now? Is anything on their mind, which we should talk about. How were the last 2 weeks? Was something worrying you? Is something what was exciting? And how are the goals clear? What is our company goal number one? What is our team goal number one? Always to see and find out if we set as the leaders, if we set out the goals and let's say the funnel, how you can grow with the company in the right way, or are there confusions and unclear situations where we can improve and provide a better setup for you as a teammate to develop yourself and grow the company. And the second one is more like maybe if you're in a management team, you have the same situation that there are decisions, like your peers, your management peers, your leader peers behave sometimes in a way where you're not happy with it, and there are emotional conflicts, and you don't know how to tackle them. Yeah, and sometimes they get maybe very emotional, and you don't know how to discuss them. So what we set up is a monthly M-team feedback, so management team feedback. And in that feedback, we are asking the other person how they perceive and how they feel about ourselves, and if they have clear observations. So this is an important part. We're trying not to share any interpretations, but we are sharing observations and the feelings. How did this observation made us feel? And this offers the other person the possibility to accept what you are saying. So this is a perfect way. We are spending 1.5 hours on that, and this gave us an opportunity to and removed a lot of maybe unclarity in the team, emotional distraction, and a lot of conflicts. Because always know you can write something down and discuss it in the monthly M-team feedback meeting. So last but not least, we also set up a clear path of how you can develop inside the company. We set up like 4 experience levels, which is junior, intermediate, senior, and principal. Even if you're a small company, it's important from our perspective that your team knows, how can I develop, and how can I also where I am, and where can I to which place can I grow, to which stage can I grow, what do I have to do to grow. So we defined these 4 experience levels: junior, intermediate, senior, and principal. And for each of these levels, we defined competencies, and we are constantly rating. So we are rating the team member is rating, and the peer of the team member is rating. And with this rating, you know where you're standing and where might be bottlenecks where you can develop. And so this is where we define the next development steps, how we define them. So sometimes these are functional competencies, and sometimes these are soft competencies, like, can you promote your activities in the company in the right way? Or do you monitor information? So you have everything on your plate, so you know where you're heading. The results. Currently, we have a great team with a lot of seniors. Our team is collaborating on projects and their goals. So we kind of reached cross-functional goals. The goals are helping us to focus. So we also know what not to do, and this can bring the team to a better performance. The personal development paths are clear, more or less. I think we can improve a lot on that. So there is a lot of room for improvement. I don't want to say that we are perfect on that end. There is a lot of improvement. As I said, goal setting is currently not our strongest side. The development path, the competencies, we worked for 9 months and reworked them 4 times. There is always something to improve, but important is that you have quite clarity on what you provide and how you can do your next steps. As always, grow with the magic power of feedback. personally and as a company. So never forget that feedback, ask someone for feedback about your own behaviors. It might give you a magic moment and you might learn something about you. Thanks a lot for listening to this episode of the podcast. I'm happy to get your feedback. So please, if you have any comments or ideas, please share them on LinkedIn with me. And yeah, hope to hear you soon. Bye-bye.